You include the vast diversity of race and ethnicity that is fundamental to our nation's strength. There is, however, one thing that sets you apart. Here in these quiet hills, you've come together to prepare for the most difficult test of our time. You signed up knowing your service would send you into harm's way. And you did so long after the first drums of war were sounded. In you, we see the commitment of our country and timeless virtues that have served our nation well. We see your sense of duty, including those who have earned their right shoulder combat patches, like the soldiers who suffered a grenade wound in Iraq, yet still helped his fellow soldiers to evacuate. Your first captain of the Corps of Cadets, Tyler Gordy. We see your sense of honor and your respect for tradition, knowing that you join a long gray line that stretches through the centuries, and in your reverence for each other, as when the Corps stands in silence every time a former cadet makes the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. Indeed, today we honor the 78 graduates of this academy who have given their lives for our freedom and our security in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we see your love of country, a devotion to America captured in the motto you chose as a class, a motto which will guide your lives of service, loyal till the end. Duty, honor, love of country, everything you have learned here, all that you've achieved here, has prepared you for today. When you raise your right hand, when you take that oath, when your loved one or mentor pins those gold bars on your shoulders, when you become at long last commissioned officers in the United States Army. This is the 9th consecutive commencement that has taken place at West Point with our nation at war. This time of war began in Afghanistan, a place that may seem as far away from this peaceful bend in the Hudson River as anywhere on earth. The war began only because our own cities and civilians were attacked by violent extremists who plotted from a distant place, and it continues only because that plotting persists to this day. For many years, our focus was on Iraq. And year after year, our troops faced a set of challenges there that were as daunting as they were complex. A lesser army might have seen its spirit broken, but the American military is more resilient than that. Our troops adapted, they persisted, they partnered with coalitions and Iraqi counterparts, and through their competence and creativity and courage, we are poised to end our combat mission in Iraq this summer. Even as we transition to an Iraqi lead and bring our troops home, our commitment to the Iraqi people endures. We will continue to advise and assist Iraqi security forces, who are already responsible for security in most of the country. And a strong American civilian presence will help Iraqis forge political and economic progress. This will not be a simple task, but this is what success looks like. An Iraq that provides no haven to terrorists, a democratic Iraq that is sovereign and stable and self-reliant. And as we end the war in Iraq, though, we are pressing forward in Afghanistan. 6 months ago, I came to West Point to announce a new strategy for Afghanistan and Pakistan. And I stand here humbled by the knowledge that many of you will soon be serving in harm's way. I assure you, you will go with the full support of a proud and grateful nation. We face a tough fight in Afghanistan. Any insurgency that is confronted with a direct challenge will turn to new tactics. And from Marja to Kandahar. That is what the Taliban has done through assassination and indiscriminate killing and intimidation. Moreover, any country that has known decades of war will be tested in finding political solutions to its problems and providing governance that can sustain progress and serve the needs of its people. So this war has changed over the last 9 years, but it's no less important than it was in those days after 9/11. We toppled the Taliban regime. Now we must break the momentum of a Taliban insurgency and train Afghan security forces. We have supported the election of a sovereign government. Now we must strengthen its capacities. We brought hope to the Afghan people. Now we must see that their country does not fall prey to our common enemies. Cadets, there will be difficult days ahead. We will adapt, we will persist, and I have no doubt that together with our Afghan and international partners, we will succeed in Afghanistan. Now, even as we fight the wars in front of us, we also have to see the horizon beyond these wars. Because unlike a terrorist whose goal is to destroy, our future will be defined by what we build. We have to see that horizon, and to get there, we must pursue a strategy of national renewal and global leadership. We have to build the sources of America's strength and influence and shape a world that's more peaceful and more prosperous. Time and again, Americans have risen to meet and to shape moments of change. This is one of those moments. An era of economic transformation and individual empowerment, of ancient hatreds and new dangers, of emerging powers and new global challenges. And we're going to need all of you to help meet these challenges. You've answered the call. You and all who wear America's uniform remain the cornerstone of our national defense, the anchor of global security. And through a period when too many of our institutions have acted irresponsibly, the American military has set a standard of service and sacrifice that is as great as any in this nation's history. Now, the rest of us must do our part. To do so, we must first recognize that our strength and influence abroad begins with steps we take at home. We must educate our children to compete in an age where knowledge is capital and the marketplace is global. We must develop clean energy that can power new industry and unbind us from foreign oil and preserve our planet. We have to pursue science and research that unlocks wonders as unforeseen to us today as the microchip and the surface of the moon were a century ago. Simply put, American innovation must be the foundation of American power, because at no time in human history has a nation of diminished economic vitality maintained its military and political primacy. And so that means that the civilians among us, as parents and community leaders, elected officials, business leaders, we have a role to play. We cannot simply leave it to those in uniform to defend this country. We have to make sure that America is building on its strengths. As we build these economic sources of our strength, the second thing we must do is build and integrate the capabilities that can advance our interests and the common interests of human beings around the world. America's armed forces are adapting to changing times, but your efforts have to be complemented We will need the renewed engagement of our diplomats, from grand capitals to dangerous outposts. We need development experts who can support Afghan agriculture and help Africans build the capacity to feed themselves. We need intelligence agencies that work seamlessly with their counterparts to unravel plots that run from the mountains of Pakistan to the streets of our cities. We need law enforcement that can strengthen judicial systems abroad and protect us here at home. And we need first responders who can act swiftly in the event of earthquakes and storms and disease. The burdens of this century cannot fall on our soldiers alone. It also cannot fall on American shoulders alone.